NATO defense ministers are set Thursday to approve plans to buy more weapons and military equipment to better defend Europe, the Arctic and the North Atlantic, as part of a U.S. push to ramp up security spending. According to Associated Press, the capability targets lay out plans for each of the 32 nations to purchase priority equipment like air and missile defense systems, artillery, ammunition, drones, and strategic enablers such as air-to-air refueling, heavy air transport and logistics. Today we decide on the capability targets. From there, we will assess the gaps we have, not only to be able to defend ourselves today, but also 3, 5, 7 years from now, NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte said. All these investments have to be financed, he told reporters before chairing the meeting at NATO's Brussels headquarters. U.S. President Donald Trump and his NATO counterparts will meet on June 24 to 25 to agree to new military spending targets. We already know we need to spend much more if we want to fulfill all these targets. And by the way, by doing that, we will also equalize in terms of spending between Canada and Europe and the United States, Rutte also said, while speaking to reporters along with U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The reason I'm here is to make sure every country in NATO understands, every shoulder has to be to the plow. Every country has to contribute at that level of 5% too as a recognition of the nature of the threat, Hegseth added. The targets are assigned by NATO based on a blueprint agreed upon in 2023, the military organization's biggest planning shakeup since the Cold War, to defend its territory from an attack by Russia or another major adversary. Under the plans, NATO would aim to have up to 300,000 troops ready to move to its eastern flank within 30 days, although experts suggest the Allies would struggle to muster those kinds of numbers.
Good morning. I really want to welcome Pete Hegseth here at NATO again. You were here in February. You were very clear about the agenda you and President Trump are driving. We heard the message. Today will be an important meeting, because today we will agree on the capability targets we need going forward to keep 1 billion people safe in NATO territory. From this, we will decide at the NATO summit to the spending. And we already know we need to spend much more if we want to fulfill all these targets. And by the way, by doing that, we will also equalize in terms of spending between Canada and Europe and the United States. There has been a total commitment by the US to NATO, but also this expectation that European and Canadian allies will step up spending, and I'm pretty confident we will get there at the summit. I also want to thank you and the President for what you are doing with Ukraine, driving the peace, engaging with President Putin, breaking the deadlock. And I think that is extremely important, and also today we will discuss Ukraine. So, Pete, thank you for being here. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you for being such a staunch ally.
Well, I appreciate it. I want to thank the Secretary General for doing a fantastic job here. Not an easy place to lead. A lot of divergent perspectives, but everybody shares an understanding and a commitment to our collective defense. But nobody has done more, I would argue. And if you just look in plain speak at the commitments in the budgets of NATO countries, then President Trump, to restore NATO as an alliance. He did it in his first term, saying, you can't freeload, you need to spend, you need to be a part of that commitment. European countries stepped up. Now we're seeing even more so, with even higher targets. And the reason I'm here is to make sure every country in NATO understands every shoulder has to be to the plow. Every country has to contribute at that level of 5%. As a recognition of the nature of the threat. So the United States is proud to be here, to stand with our allies, but our message is going to continue to be clear. It's deterrence and peace through strength, but it can't be reliance. It cannot and will not be reliance. Secretary General.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You got it.
See you later, guys.
Thank you.
Should Ukraine be included in the 5% capability spending, as some member states are hoping?
NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte said the U.S. is on the same path as the European Union and its allies in its commitment to make sure the collective brings lasting and durable peace to Ukraine. According to Associated Press speaking in Brussels ahead of a Ukraine Defense Contact Group meeting, which brings together Ukraine's Western backers to ensure Kiev gets more military aid, Rutte commended US President Donald Trump. "What I think is we really have to commend is the fact that President Trump broke the deadlock, because still January this year there were no direct conversations ongoing between the US and Russia, and I think it was important that Trump did this," Rutte said. "Of course, this is not easy, and we have to make sure that we bring Ukraine to a lasting and durable peace. This is exactly what the US wants, what all the allies want, of course what Ukraine wants." The US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will be absent from the meeting for the first time since the group was set up 3 years ago. He will arrive in Brussels after it's over. Rutte said Hegseth's absence from the meeting should not be interpreted negatively, insisting the US is completely committed to NATO and its joint endeavors with the EU when it comes to Ukraine. "There's no reason to doubt that, and whether someone is participating, yes or no, in each meeting, let's not forget, these meetings take place most of the times in Europe, so it will not always be possible for US officials to participate in every meeting," Rutte said. Wednesday's meeting at NATO headquarters is being chaired by the UK and Germany.
What I think is we really have to commend is the fact that President Trump broke the deadlock. Because still January this year there were no direct conversations ongoing between the US and Russia, and I think it was important that Trump did this. Of course this is not easy, and we have to make sure that we bring Ukraine to a lasting and durable peace. This is exactly what the US wants, what all the allies want, of course what Ukraine wants. So Putin should never ever try this again. And that means we have to test him, we have to sit down with him, or at least with his team, discuss, etc. And it is the US taking the lead on this, and I'm really glad that they do that. The US is completely committed to NATO, completely committed to our joint endeavors when it comes to Ukraine. There's no reason to doubt that. And whether someone is participating, yes or no, in each meeting, let's not forget, these meetings take place most of the times in Europe, so it will not always be possible for US officials to participate in every meeting. When it comes, of course, to the events last Sunday, clearly that's for Ukraine, and let's not forget that the capabilities they hit were the capabilities the Russians were using to attack innocent people, going about their daily lives in Ukrainian cities and communities. So I think we really should take note of that. We are always prepared for every eventuality, and Vladimir Putin should know that if he would try, that our reaction will be devastating, and he knows. What we have to make sure of is that it is not only devastating today, but that it will also be devastating and very effective in 3, 5, 7 years from now, and that's why we have to spend more.